Father Beller here. Welcome back to the Nerd Father. Happy fifth day of Lent. First Sunday of Lent today, and figured I'd do a little solo stream a little bit earlier than normal, mostly because I've been getting up a lot earlier during Lent because I'm doing Eucharistic adoration at 6 in the morning. So getting to bed a little bit earlier than normal. But anyway, there were a few things that happened over this week I just wanted to look at. One of them was kind of big news, but not really big news. Cardinal Sarah, who is the head of I can't remember the exact, um, the head of the liturgy, I believe, the sacraments, Congregation for the Sacraments. Um, Cardinal Sarah turned 75 earlier this week, and what happens is when a bishop or a cardinal turns 75, he's required by canon law to submit his resignation, and it's up to the Pope to decide whether or not he will accept the resignation or allow him to stay on for a little bit longer. And normally, under John Paul II, I remember a lot of cardinals were asked to stay, or a lot of bishops were asked to stay on past 75. Cardinal O'Connor from New York City is a good reminder for me. Usually, if they get to stay on past 75, then when they turn 80, they are required by canon law to retire. And for those that aren't familiar with what canon law is, it's basically the law that governs the church. It's very complicated. I took about a semester and a half. I think it was about a semester and a half when I was in the seminary. I know I took one semester just on the law itself, and then we spent a whole semester looking at marriage law and all the things that has to go into with the preparation of a couple for marriage. So anyway, I just wanted to look at this article to begin with. This is coming from the Tablet in the UK, which I just subscribed to. It's a global newspaper magazine. Anyway, it was announced on the 20th that the Pope had accepted the Cardinal's resignation, and Cardinal Sarah is from Guyana. He turned 75, which is the retirement age for bishops. He was appointed, the Holy See's prefect, and he was appointed by Pope Francis in 2014, stayed in office for more than 6 years, and I am aware of some of this, that he did kind of come in conflict with the Holy Father when it came to liturgical reforms. One of the things that Pope Francis, I guess, rebuked Cardinal Sarah is Cardinal Sarah suggested that priests celebrate Mass ad Orientem, and that is facing the east. And I never liked the way they phrased the description after this, or with their backs to the congregation. Well, there's a reason why, and the cat's trying to show herself up right now. Come on, kitty, out of the way. So prior to the reforms of the Second Vatican Council, when the priest celebrated Mass, he had his back to the people. And the whole reason for that was basically a proper understanding of celebrating the liturgy, with the priest and the people facing the same direction as the priest is facing liturgical east, which is Jerusalem, leading the people in prayer. And again, I wasn't around in the 60s. I wasn't even a speck in my dad's eye. But one of the reforms that happened in 68, well, no, not 68. Vatican Council was from 63 to 65. Anyway, one of the reforms was liturgical reforms. Sacro Sanctum Concilium, I believe, is the document. It's been a while since I read it, but it's the Constitution on the Sacred Liturgy. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is within the Second Vatican document on the liturgy, it allows the liturgy to be celebrated in the vernacular. So in this country, it allows us to be able to celebrate the Mass in English. But one of the things it did not do away with is saying that Latin should still be preserved. So when I was in the seminary, we would have once a week Mass in Latin. And you would think that this would be, let's go back to the old time again, not understanding a single thing that's happening, all the way they used to do it before 68. No. If you look at the Missal, the old term was the Sacramentum, the Sacramentary. If you look at the missal, you can see that it is in English today, but the English is based on the Latin translation of the same prayers. So that's the beauty of Latin. So whether you go to the Spanish missal, the English missal, the German missal, they're all based on the Latin, and it's translated into their own vernacular language. So one of the things that took effect this week on Ash Wednesday is when we pray what used to be known as the opening prayer, but the correct term is the collect. We're supposed to do away with one God forever and ever. It would be our Lord Jesus Christ, who lives and reigns with you, one God forever and ever. Well, we're supposed to do away with the word one because if you look at the Latin translation, one is not in the Latin. So, a better example of how to understand the Latin translation would be in the act or the rite of contrition that we say, "Oh my God, I'm heartily sorry," or no, "I confess to Almighty God and to you, my brothers and sisters, that I have greatly sinned in my thoughts and in my words, and what I've done and what I failed to do through my most grievous fault. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. Through my most grievous fault." So that's more of an accurate translation of the Latin to the English that the new missal instituted about. It's been almost 10 years now. Hard to believe. And again, I like the new translation of the missal, the new translation of the Latin. It's a more faithful translation. So anyway, uh, so the Pope and Cardinal Sarah came in conflict with the way the priest should have the position of the priest when it came to celebrating Mass. Let's see. It also took the Cardinal's office more than a year to draw up a 370 word decree allowing women to be included in the Holy Thursday foot washing. This is something that Pope Francis requested. One of the things I don't think a lot of people realize is it's been left up to the pastors as to whether they will implement this. So rather than remove the cardinal from the office, the Pope appointed a series of board members to the liturgy department who did not share Sarah's vision and worked with his second in command. Anyway, um, it will be interesting to see who replaces Cardinal Sarah. And as I probably mentioned, Cardinal Sarah is my hope for the next Pope. He is an author of, let me see if this is showing up here. Let's go back to this main page. So, Cardinal Sarah wrote a book called The Power of Silence Against the Dictatorship of Noise. He has written a number of books. He is basically, I think he's good material. So, I'm not rooting for the Holy Father's death. I don't want it to be known that I'm rooting for it. I'm not doing that at all. But, nobody lives forever. And when the conclave comes, I'm hoping that Cardinal Sarah will come out of it as the Pope. Again, he is 75. I believe Pope Francis was 76 when he was elected. Pope Benedict reigned until he was 85. Pope Francis is now 85, I think. So, and who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? So, um, but there was also the other thing that Cardinal Sarah kind of came in conflict with the Pope because Pope Francis was looking at whether or not married men should be ordained priests, and Pope Benedict XVI and Cardinal Sarah wrote a book, basically, as it says here, defending mandatory clerical celibacy. Benedict had written a chapter for the book, but asked to be removed as a joint author. As I probably said before, I'm against the married priesthood, mostly because, as our Lord says, you can't serve two masters. Who comes first? So today, again, this is the fifth day of Lent. I've had 3 masses today. I'm actually tired, which is part of the reason why I'm starting to do this a little bit earlier. Let me see. This thing says my Wi-Fi's a little. Anyway, so good to see ya. I drive safe. Hope all's well. I don't know if you got to make it onto Gary's stream earlier today. So, as I probably mentioned, Gary from Nerdrotic has a member stream every Sunday, and it's for his members. So, as one of his members, I got to pop on. Usually, I'll join for about a half hour and then pop off so that other people that are watching can join. So, but going back to Cardinal Sarah, there was another article that I just came across, which is kind of confusing, figuring that, okay, Sarah is 75. It was up to the Pope as to whether or not he would accept that letter or that resignation. But this is now coming from the National Catholic Register, which states that almost half the Roman Curia, basically, this is the government of the Vatican, are currently led by bishops that are past the recommended retirement age of 75. So, a lot of these I really don't know personally much about, but it states that Cardinal Stella, who's the head of the Congregation for Clergy, will turn 80 in August. Well, in August, he's going to have to step down because, again, when a cardinal turns 80 or a bishop turns 80, he is required, it's a mandatory retirement. So, again, going back to Cardinal O'Connor, when he turned 80, he had to step down, whether he had the strength or not. So, I did not realize this. Pope Francis's pontificate has exceeded Benedict XVI. And on February 13th, so about a week ago, Pope Francis has now led the church for 2,894 days compared to Benedict's 2,867. 7. Wow. When he was elected at the age of 76, few, including Francis, expected his pontificate to last this long. And actually, pray for the Holy Father because it looks like he's going to be trying to visit Iraq next month. And that could be a very scary visit. So, but anyway, of the 22 most important offices, excluding pontifical academies, commissions, and city state, 9 are headed by cardinals or bishops who could be now in pensione, which I don't know the translation of this. But the one of the more influential is Cardinal Marc Ouellet, who is from Canada. He is he's the one that's head of the Congregation for Bishops, and it's been so for 11 years. I didn't realize that. And this, oh dear heavens, this prompted speculation that Pope Francis might be planning to tap Cardinal Kupich of Chicago as his replacement. That's not good. I think I'll just drink before I say anything more on that. Another retirement age is Cardinal Ladaria, who turned 77 in April and has headed the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. So this was the one that was headed by Pope Benedict when he was Cardinal Ratzinger, before he was elected Pope. But Ladaria is known to have a good rapport with Pope Francis, so it's possible that the Pope will keep him on as prefect until his 5-year mandate ends in July 2022. Yikes. Cardinal Stella, the head of the Congregation for Clergy, will turn 80 in August. Okay. So, yeah, heaven help us if Cardinal Kupich gets in. Cardinal Kupich was one that was not happy with Cardinal or Archbishop Gomez, who was the head of the USCCB when he issued the statement on the morning of Biden's inauguration. Kind of threw a little Twitter temper tantrum. Speaking of which, I don't know for those watching if you knew, but my homily got muted by, I don't know if it was StreamYard or YouTube, because I was talking about Biden's 2 executive orders in a homily, basically overturning the Mexico City policy and allowing transgendered people to compete in their own sports. I did what is known as dead naming. I referred to Well, I can't really say it on here. Let me see if I can bring up the picture of the person. Let's see. So, wow. Even looking for his original there. Good heavens, I'm gonna have to go back to the 70s for this. Okay, there we go. Let's see. We're gonna stop that one, and we're gonna share another screen. Okay, so I won't say the name, but we know who this is. And I mentioned the original name, and by doing that, that is known as dead naming. That is a social media cardinal sin, a major no-no. Um, that's one person that I mentioned. Let's see if we can do the other one. We will see if we can get this to come up. The sad thing is when I mentioned that person, when I did a Google search just now, that person, it brought up all the recent things and the new name. So, okay, here we go with the second name, the second person. There we go. So this was the star in Juno. She's in X-Men, or at least the first two X-Men. I believe she's in the Umbrella Academy, but I've never seen it. I don't really know much about it. Don't really care much about it. It's on Netflix. I don't have Netflix anymore. So anyway, I mentioned during the homily talking about how if you call them by their original name, you could be labeled as dead naming, and that's a no-no. You could be thrown into social media prison for that. And I just know when I got done with the homily, I came back to the pulpit, and I wear bifocals, so I don't see as far as I used to, and just noticed that my microphone was muted and didn't know what the error was. I couldn't read the error message. I wish I had. So this was on Saturday night. I decided, okay, we're going to restream the Sunday morning mass. Did the same thing. Made sure the microphone was working. Made sure everything was unmuted. Gave the homily, and then after I got back, muted again. And it was right after I mentioned the name of one of these actors and everything. So I haven't heard from anybody else whether this has happened to them before or not. I wish I would have been able to look at the screen as it happened to see what the error message was. Anyway, so let's see. That Germanic guy is here. Giddy ho, mate. Highly ho to you. And Miss Martin's here. Good to see you. So, yeah, so it's going to be interesting. Miss Martin, I don't know if you were here when I was just talking about Cardinal Coopage, but let's bring up that screen, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are. As you know, Cardinal Sarah was just his resignation was accepted. Let's see. I'm still getting better at this thing. Let's see one more time. This will probably scare the living daylights out of you. Okay, Cardinal Olet, I think he's from Montreal. Congregation for Bishops since 2010. Prompted speculation that Cardinal Coopage will be his replacement. Let's see what the link says. Again, heaven help us. So, anyway, that's that. But the other bit of insanity that I saw this morning, let me bring this one up. So with the whole Gina Carano thing, I ended up canceling Disney Plus. Let's see, I'm trying to find. There we go. I probably should have waited a little bit, but I was kind of looking forward to it because the Disney was going to put the entire Muppet show on Disney Plus. I have the first two seasons on DVD, but shocker, Disney has now slapped The Muppet Show with an offensive content disclaimer. So, one of the DVDs I bought recently on Blu ray is Tex Avery. For those, if you ever seen The Mask, Tex Avery is the guy that came up known as the sight gag. So when Jim Carrey is seeing Cameron Diaz dancing and he's going nuts, he's turning into a wolf, his heart is beating, he's basically beating his head. That's Tex Avery. That was Tex Avery's style back in the 50s. Um, Tex Avery also did Droopy, did a lot of other cartoons. So when you bought their new Blu-ray, it came with a warning. Let me see if I can find that warning thing. Um, let's see. I doubt that I'm gonna find it. Let's see. So while I'm looking for this, I just ask you to say a prayer for me. This next 6 weeks are going to be pretty busy. Um, so with 3 parishes, I'm doing Stations of the Cross at each of the 3 parishes on 3 different nights. And then the one other night, I have a mixture of RCI/CYO. It's going to be a busy Lent. So, but I'm excited for it. I hope it's going to be a lot better than last year. Let's see. Okay, come on. Okay, let's see if we could bring that up. Tom and Jerry? Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we can do this. Okay, so this is oops. Not what I was hoping would come up. Okay, so yeah, there it is. So Tex Avery's Droopy. And let's see if it shows the disclaimer at the beginning. Okay. But here you see right over here. Okay, it doesn't look like it has it on here, but this would be an example of Tex Avery's sight gags. I love this one. So, anyway, yeah, so the Muppets now have been labeled as being potentially offensive, and let's bring that back up. So, this is from the New York Post. I was looking at this earlier. Let's see if we can bring that up. Muppets are offensive these days. Let's see. The disclaimer shown prior to each episode, that's nice, warns viewers that the show features stereotypes and mistreatment of other people or cultures. I wonder if they're referring to the Swedish Chef. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. I think it is. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. So let's see what this brings up. Yeah. Oh, it didn't bring it up on here. Okay, let's try this again. While we're doing it again, thank you everybody for joining me. Like I said, if you have any questions, comments, please drop them in the box. Okay, so here we go. So I guess this is on each individual Muppet Show episode. Yeah. One thing I've been learning over the last few years is do not get rid of your digital or your physical media. I'm in the process of slowly converting some of the older DVDs I have to Blu-ray, but never ever get rid of your physical media and rely on digital because, as we know, what's on digital can always be tweaked. So, oh, good question. Love Newhart. Larry, his brother Daryl, and his other brother Daryl. I remember that as a kid. Would it be canceled today because it's offensive to people from Vermont? Let's not talk about it. That way we don't give them ideas. Because heaven forbid. But Newhart is awesome. I remember watching it as a kid, and I have to say the Bob Newhart show, which was on before that, never saw. So I remember the series finale where he wakes up with Suzanne Pleshich next to him, which is supposed to be taking back to the original Bob Newhart show, so that the whole Newhart series, and this has been 30 years plus, so if you haven't seen it, if it's spoiled, you've had 30 years. Anyway, yeah, that the whole Newhart show was a dream, a bad dream, I remember. And I think if I remember correctly, Suzanne Plessage, Bob's wife on the original TV show, said no more Thai food before bed for you. So, but yeah. Um, anyway, but this is kind of the same disclaimer that's on the Tex Avery DVDs that I have. So they just issued the second collection of his cartoon shows remastered into a Blu-ray format. Pretty good. There's a whole series of Droopy. There's a whole series of Dog. Um, anyway, so that's about it for that. Let's see. So yes, the last episode. I gotta say I liked it better than the last episode of Saint Elsewhere. Um, I mean, if you remember, I remember seeing Saint Elsewhere as a kid. I loved it as a kid. I mean, I don't know why I was watching it as a kid, but I remember it. But yeah, so last episode of Saint Elsewhere, and again, that's one that's been on almost 35 years ago. So if you haven't seen it, but the whole series ended up being the dream of an autistic kid looking at a snow globe. So, yeah, Newhart is a great comedian, and hopefully, I don't know if people know, Bob's a devout Catholic too. I wrote him, or at least his Facebook page, a few years ago, and I was able to get an autograph from him. So, but yeah, Newhart's comedy. I have XM radio, so on Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Foxworthy's channel, they'll play a lot of old Bob Newhart comedy from the late 50s, early 60s. And my favorite is probably The Last Voyage of the USS Codfish. And again, Newhart has its own style, but it's brilliant, and I do need to work my way through the original series. Plus, it had Marcia, I can't remember her last name, she just died about a year or two ago, who played Edna Crabapple from The Simpsons, the teacher. But she was also in a lot of the match game shows from the 70s. So, let's see. So, let's go back to the Muppets. Let's bring that up. Marcia Wallace. Thank you, MTech Shark. Thank you. Let's see. So, what ups? I guess. So, Disney considered offensive on the show, but some characters depict Native Americans, Middle Easterns, and Asian peoples. Season 5, Johnny Cash is seen performing in front of a Confederate flag. If it's the one I'm thinking of, let's see if I'll bring it up. Let's see, hold on. Okay, where the heck did it go? There it is. Gonna put that on mute. I'm thinking it's him singing Egg Sucking Dog. Let's see. No, it's okay. Here we go. I'm not going to put it on the full screen because I do not want YouTube to punish me. Again, one of those social media no-nos that if you put on images of certain things, that's a no-no. So it looks like the, let's see, we'll skip ahead a little bit. Oh, there it is. But it has an American flag in the background as well. So, Ghost Riders in the Sky, which actually I love Ghost Riders in the Sky. I wish I could have seen Johnny Cash when he was still living. So, that's that little bit of stupidity for the day. But really, there's only one other thing I was going to mention. I have to give thanks to John Trent from Bounding Into Comics for this video. He had it on his Twitter yesterday, and I had to look it up. Let's see if we can bring this up. Again, thank you to people for watching. Please do hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit the ring bell. I think I'm 3 subscribers now away from 600. So, very excited about that. Not bad for doing it over a year. So, this is coming from John Trent, Bounding Into Comics. Kid kicked Thanos. Why is Batman there? Look at the mom's face. Let's see if we can. Mom is laughing. I mean, the kid just kicked the guy in the head. The kid just kicked Thanos in the head, and I'm sure it wasn't really a hard kick. That'll make Anyway, so poor Thanos. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Like I said, still getting better with doing a little solo run. It's a little bit harder to find the guys to be able to stream with, mostly because Lent is our busy time of the year. As I said, I have 3 nights of stations where I'm going to be traveling between my 3 parishes and then doing RCI. So really, I'm taking Tuesdays off during Lent because I like to follow Odin's OMB's movie blog during that time, and he streams on Tuesday nights, so I don't want to miss that, mostly because he does it on Tuesday and Saturdays, and I can't usually watch the Saturday stream because I have Mass. So, but yeah, again, thank you everybody for joining me. So, we'll do this again next week. I'm going to try to do it again next week. So, until next week, God bless.